So you're starting a PPC campaign for whatever products you might be launching on Amazon. Perhaps you're creating some auto campaigns, some manuals, whatever it may be. Now the question really comes, how much should you spend per campaign? And how do you really optimize that to know you're actually getting your money's worth? What's too much? What's too little? I want to say that it really does depend on the product, the category, the niche you're in, but I'm going to give you some big picture overviews so you kind of know ballpark range what to aim for when you're setting up your PPC campaigns. Hey, it's me, Karina. Welcome to my Amazon FBA YouTube channel where I post videos about Amazon FBA. Today I wanted to give you a broad analysis on PPC campaigns. We're gonna talk about ACoS a little bit. We're going to be talking about advertising spend a little bit. So the main question is PPC, right? You're starting campaigns, maybe you're trying to launch your product, maybe you're trying to get more sales with the product, but what prices should you set for campaigns? So let's just talk about campaigns in general. There's obviously the manual campaign and there is the automatic campaign. With the automatic campaign, Amazon starts to show you for seemingly random things, but it's all algorithmically driven. Perhaps it's using keywords in your title, in your description, in your bullet points, and it's also showing you for your competitors, maybe a similar ASIN to your product. You don't have much control over the automatic campaign. It's basically going to be things that are based on the listing you created. And if you're doing it correctly, which hopefully you are, then it should be hopefully profitable. Now, the good thing about the auto campaign is it is a discovery campaign, meaning it's going to show you up for words that you probably wouldn't have thought of yourself. Perhaps these are words that customers are typing in. Perhaps these are ASINs where Amazon thinks you're going to get more of a conversion. And Amazon does want you to convert, which means more profits for them. But they're not always 100% in your favor because they want you to spend money on advertising. That is why you have to fine tune your PPC campaigns, and we'll get to that later. So an auto campaign, you always should be running that. And we're gonna talk about how much you should bid on that and when is a good time to stop, right? Let's just talk quickly about the manual campaign. Manual campaign, of course, you have more control over it. There is the broad match, there's the phrase match, there's the exact match. Now, I'm not going to be talking in too much detail about this. If you want more detail about Amazon in general, you can join my private label club for $7, where I teach you how to find low risk products where you order a very small amount of units and get your money's worth on that. So you can start the business model low risk and get your returns faster. Basically, you have strong community support there, and it's $7 to know how to do product research correctly, and plus weekly updating videos. More information on that at theplclub.com. But anywho, back to the campaigns, right? So let's just keep it simple. The exact match is the one that's going to charge you more because it's very precise, and at an extent you do want to get to the exact match eventually, just because you're going to get your money's worth if you know the words that are converting the most, right? There's the broad and the phrase, and both of those actually do serve as discovery campaigns as well, meaning they hunt down other words for you, such as search terms, same as an auto campaign. A customer is going to type in a different word that you're targeting, and maybe you're not aware of that word. It's going to bring you back more money. So what's a good ballpark range to start? How should you price these? Many people come up with these very advanced PPC research strategies and how much money to spend. And yes, it is a science and an art, but let's be clear, if your product is bad, no amount of PPC campaigns is going to save you. The only thing that's going to be very reliable is really testing your campaigns and fine-tuning them. And before I get into the actual costs, I want to tell you a little story about one of my products. One of my products that was doing exceptionally well. I was spending money on PPC and I didn't like my ACoS, which essentially means the money I spent to get a sale back. Now, it was still profitable, but it was kind of high. My product ranges from about 40 to 50% and my average ACoS was 35, which means I was making about 5 to 10% profit on sale on average, right? for my PPC campaigns. Now, this product was tremendously profitable, and when I totaled up my total sales, my profit margins were of course much higher than the 5 to 15% leeway room that I just gave you, right? But I still didn't like the 35% ACoS. To me, that was high, so I started trimming down on my campaigns. I started negative exact matching them. I started decreasing the bid. I started decreasing the daily budget in hopes of getting that ACoS down, because 35 was too high in my opinion. I brought the ACoS down because I did all the steps. Like I said, I lowered the bid, I lowered the budget, I negative exact matched words, I trimmed out the fat a little bit, and the ACoS decreased, but so did my sales. My sales got very low. I fell down on the first page. I was maybe top 3, sometimes top 1, top 2, top 3. I became middle of the page, bottom of the first page. My sales decreased tremendously, which had me questioning, maybe I picked the wrong market, maybe the market is down, maybe competition is stronger than me. I felt quite discouraged, and then I thought, I need to ramp up that PPC again because I want to sell more. I ramped up the PPC once more. I hired my bids. I increased the daily budget. I wasn't too concerned with ACoS. I was just trying to get the sales, and guess what? My sales went up. They went up back to their original numbers, more profitability. And that's what I want you to keep in mind, because sometimes what everyone advertises as a low ACoS, they show these ACoSs of 2%, 10%, 1%, and it looks amazing. It looks like, oh wow, I can put 0.5% in and get so much more back, which means more profit. But that's not what it means. That's actually doing you a huge disadvantage. What you have to think of is your total ACoS, which means the more money I put in PPC, of course within reason and within testing, the more money I get back. And that's just how it works. Sometimes you might look at your report and it looks unprofitable, right? In my case, it was still profitable. I was just having a very small margin in my PPC. But when I look at my total sales, I was extremely, extremely, extremely profitable. And that is the difference. Because many think that if you invest in your PPC, you're losing money if you're not getting a high return. But what investing in PPC does is it actually boosts your overall conversions and your overall sales. Because even getting those sales at a break-even price helps your overall best sellers rank and helps you get higher, which means it brings in more organic sales. And of course, organic sales are great. You get a few sales from PPC ads, and then you also begin to get many from organically. So when you really look down on your PPC, you want to analyze this as, what is my actual profit? Am I making good profit from this in overall, or is it not so good, right? Of course, if your item is bad and if you're spending a bunch of money on PPC and you're seeing your ACoS is 100, 200, 300%, that's a huge, huge, huge red flag. But if it's leveling out, then you're doing something good. So what are the good prices? Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, the whole point of it is how much should you be bidding? So here are the basics. Begin with an auto campaign and a broad campaign. You can start the auto campaign, let's say anywhere from $10 to $20, and your manual campaigns, did I say broad? I meant your manual campaigns, whatever it may be, you can actually start it from about $20 to $30 a day. Now see how your product performs, whether you are launching it with PPC for the first time, and then you start to trim down and optimize, but not to the degree that it loses you sales overall. Because if it does, that's not good at all. The amount of money you put into campaign in the beginning doesn't really matter as much as people think. It's really the bid strategy, the optimization, the trimming down, and that is where it becomes a science and an art, because you don't want to trim it down too much. Otherwise, you're going to be losing out on your total sales. You're going to be losing in your ranking. But trust me, if your product is good, if your product is decent, if it's a converting product, you will begin to see results in PPC. Perhaps your ACoS will be high in the beginning for the first couple of weeks, maybe even the first week. But if it does not begin to lower after you do some fine tuning, then something is definitely wrong with either your product or your market. Now, these are very, very advanced tactics. There's so much to know. If you have no idea about Amazon, again, I have theplclub.com. You can see it at theplclub.com. If you want an in-depth Amazon program A to Z, where I explain PPC, I explain literally everything. I do have a course, so you can get it at intoamilli.com. So that is it. Do like this video, subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one.